Borough Council regular meeting, April 19, 2023.
President Ferguson,
Here.
Vice President Gerard,
Here.
Councilmember Bagan,
Here.
Councilmember Cresser,
Here.
Councilmember Stevens,
Here.
Mayor Gerard,
Here.
Borough Manager Snyder,
Here.
Borough Solicitor Harper.
All right, we're going to stand and have our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic that stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have Councilor Stevens. Go ahead and give a revocation.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessing of this day, for your endless mercy, and your countless blessings on us and our community. We are thankful for this opportunity that we have to serve our community, and we ask that you would guide us as we work now on behalf of our residents. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, we'll go to item 1, approval of meeting agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda for the April 19, 2023 regular meeting?
So,
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Stevens, a second from Councilwoman Cresser. Any changes or amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. All right, item 2, approval of the meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the March 1st, 2023 workshop meeting and the March 15, 2023 regular meeting?
motion.
Second. I got a motion from Councilman Gerard, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions, changes, or amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. All right, item 3, public inputs. If anyone from the public would like to make a statement, please rise, state your name, and address the council. Manager Snyder, do you want to mention questions that were brought up?
Sure. This evening, earlier today, I received some questions from resident Paul Dowling on Columbia Avenue. So I was just going to read his questions and my responses, and then if council wants to add anything in response, so Mr. Dowling, who watches the recordings, can hear us have a conversation about his public input. Mr. Dowling asks, why do we need special counsel for electric? Is the cost in the budget we approved? I responded, Hatfield Borough owns and operates our own electric system and is not regulated by the PUC, Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, like PP&L and PECO are. Hatfield Borough needs special counsel to look into a request the borough received for servicing electric to the new Hatfield Township Police Department. Saltzman Hughes is a law firm that specializes in electric and recommended by PMEA, Pennsylvania Municipal Electric Association, in which Hatfield Borough is a member. It would be devastating to the borough and its customers if the borough ever becomes PUC regulated, which could lead to uncontrollable rate increases for customers. Yes, there are funds in the budget to cover costs, and the potential of sharing costs with Hatfield Township is being explored.
Any questions or statements? For that question?
The next question is, what is PSAB and what does it do for the borough? I responded, Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs. This is an agency that advocates and educates on behalf of all boroughs in Pennsylvania.
Any questions or statements? Good.
And his final question was, what input will Hatfield citizens have on the future investment plan? I responded, if you have any comments or questions, your input is always welcome and considered by the board. And then I asked, is there a specific aspect of the investments you're looking for more information on, or just to be more informed on the process?
Did he have a response to the last question?
I did not see one as of 5:30 today when we came up for our budget finance and labor meeting.
All right, if there are no more questions, I'll close the public input portion of our meeting. We'll go to item 4, the announcements.
Next council meetings, May 3rd workshop and May 17th regular meeting, 7 p.m. in council chambers. PROC is scheduled to meet Wednesday, April 26th at 8 a.m. in council chambers. The next planning commission meeting is scheduled for May 1st at 7 p.m. in council chambers. Zoning hearing board is scheduled to meet April 27th at 7 PM in council chambers, and we'll discuss that in more detail under reports. And in addition, we will have the spring town hall meeting Wednesday, May 10th at 7 PM here in council chambers. And we are looking into recording that and having the same process as the borough council meetings.
Any questions? If there are none, we'll go on to item 5, reports from our standing committees and affairs. So the first one, budget, finance, and labor. I'd like to report that we did meet prior to the council meeting today. The items that we discussed were the septic property, so we're in the process of finalizing the lease for that. We also discussed a company called Barth Consulting Group, who does counseling on municipalities for their growth and development, for ideas of how to develop the communities, increasing business and things like that. They've done a lot of work in Lansdale and other places around, and so the next step for them is to bring them in and have them meet with the Budget, Labor, and Finance Committee to talk through some of the details and so we can understand the costs for that. So, Madam Manager, you want to add anything else to that?
I know Barth Consulting has worked with Percy and Sellersville on revitalization of their train stations. So that's how I had got connected with him. So like President Ferguson said, we're just interested to see more of the plan or what he could bring to Hatfield Borough and especially the septic property as we're working through that lease agreement at this time. And also just get a little bit more details about the pricing that will cost for us and how that could work in our current budget and our budget moving forward.
We also talked about our investments. As you remember, we did talk about investing $750,000 to kind of hedge the market reaction, the market that was out there. That did go through. There are treasury notes. One will come to fruition here in 6 months. 250,000, another 250,000 6 months after that, and then another. The final will finish out 1 year from 1 year after that. So, so those investments were made, and I believe the interest rate we got above 4% for all of those. So, although our investments so far are showing better than the funds that we did invest, so that's a good it's a good sign for us as well. Any questions on the investment?
Are we going to, when a note matures, are we going to publish or put that in the report, like this note matured and it earned X amount of dollars in interest, so that the, the citizens can be aware of that, and also to show that, with the market volatility, the borough is being proactive in order to mitigate any losses, just to show, we're doing something.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about it, but I think that's a good idea. We could just, yeah.
Yeah, I think Diane can probably create some spreadsheet like she does the year-to-date report, but it could be for investments and what when they mature, what we put in and at what rate and what we got out of it. Yeah, just kind of like in addition to her investment report during the normal workshop meeting.
Not complicated.
Yeah,
just
something
know
super
X amount of dollars.
Sure.
Plus, I'm curious too.
A couple of items that we discussed, finalization of the employee handbook, some changes that are being made regarding FMLA, so we're in the process of finalizing that. We talked about the communications committee, which we're going to set up, so we're going to review the ordinances and how we do that through resolutions, kind of in its final stages, so that's going to get finalized here relatively quick. And then we just talked about the general audits and how we're going to map out expenses, start planning on future expenses. So, so that was the bulk of what we talked about. The budget, finance, and labor. Any questions? All right, if not, we'll go on to planning, building, and zoning.
Yes, the committee met recently to discuss and fine tune the chicken ordinance, which is on the agenda to discuss later in the meeting. Our solicitor is also working on a draft fireworks ordinance as well as a rental unit inspection ordinance, which the committee will be presenting to council for consideration in the near future.
the firework ordinance, is that different than, I thought we grouped ours with the township as part of that reconciliation?
So I know the solicitor provided me three based on the Pennsylvania state law that we could model ours off of. And I know I've been in contact with the lieutenant, what would be best and to be enforced, and sent some things over to like Kate. And she was going to review and see what we could incorporate and give a draft back.
There was a change in the state law since we did a fire. Okay, so we have to catch up.
Okay, and so the township would also have that change into theirs as well too.
Right, and we like to make it's easier for the police, quite frankly, to enforce it if we have the same ordinances, because that way, you know, they don't have to be confused about which one permits it here and which one permits it there, you know?
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a change in the state, so that
Right.
would change to ours. Okay, that makes sense. All right, any questions for planning, building and zoning? If not, we'll go to public safety.
Yeah, it's not that yet, but we're gonna be meeting, on May 3rd and go over some speeding results and, a couple other things.
What street do we live on? Is it,
There was one on Tomlinson Avenue, there was one on Blaine. And, yeah,
those are two.
the two newest ones.
Any questions for public safety? If not, we'll go on to public works, property and equipment.
The Public Works Property and Equipment, Committee did not meet, but I hope we do so in the future.
Yeah, I believe Steve and I talked and we are working to send an email and see what day Larry and Jimmy can meet prior to the next workshop meeting. I think there's a couple Mondays that were available.
All right, we'll go on to utilities.
We just met prior to this meeting, and we were working on finalizing the behind the meter generator operations manual and the requirements for the generating station would be turned on, and that's been finalized and will be put out shortly. We also discussed the AMP, the American Municipal Power March bill, and the possibility of an impact on our building because of either credits or penalties because of a high demand usage over the past winter months. That may be coming in the future, which may or may not affect our overall billing. And also delinquency, there was an update about the delinquencies in the borough. Right now, there were 11 shutoffs today for electricity. There are actually 9 now because 2 people made arrangements to pay their bills off. So as of right now, there are 9 shutoffs that actually did occur today. That's all I have.
And for those of the public who are interested regarding the behind the meter generator and the process, we're going to have, that's going to be talked about in intricate detail in an upcoming town hall. So any citizens who are interested to understand how it works and its functionality and how we're going to manage it, should definitely plan on attending that so they can get that level of detail if they're interested. Any questions for utility? All right, how about her?
We met recently. We have a board vacancy and are considering adding new members to our committee because of a recent vacancy. The new member under consideration is currently the owner of the Razor Short Barber Shop. We are looking at the 125th anniversary celebration, and the planning continues. It is scheduled for June 17th. Items that were ordered from the online store should be coming in or will have come in. The purchasers will be notified about picking them up from the borough offices. Also, unfortunately, Earth Day was postponed due to the impending weather that we were expecting to have that never occurred. So we are looking about rescheduling that for future dates to the park cleanups.
Any questions? All right, if not, Madam Mayor.
Well, I want to talk about the tour of the Barnside Farm mulching facility. the borough manager and vice president of borough council took a tour of the facility. It was a lot larger than I thought it would be. And, we watched how the mulch is taken from yard waste and eventually becomes mulch. It was very interesting, very interesting. Then I also want to report about the junior council person. Councilman Kagan has reached out to LC, and contacted them. I have contacted Dock High School as well as North Penn High School. And unfortunately, I haven't heard anything back. I presume you haven't either, Jimmy?
The update was they were going to discuss and get back to us. but not really.
Okay. So, at this point, I'm going to, ask Lindsay to put something on our borough website. There is something, if you look at my minute with the mayor, which I don't know if anybody reads, but I put something there. And, I haven't heard anything back, so I'd like to put it on our Facebook page as well as, our website. And I'm also gonna reach out to, Mayor Yoakum and see if he met with similar problems and what he did to solve it. So, and then Jason, how much report?
She is 15, about to be 16.
Okay,
So
any interest?
I can ask the question and see.
Okay, okay. Okay, and, that's, all I have to report.
And you are talking about the 16-year-old, not 9-year-old.
Well, it's kind of young, but even when she gets older, who knows?
Yeah. I should make it as a prerequisite for them, right? Hey, you want to get your car, you want to drive a car, then you got to do this. Although I could never get my wife to join the pool committee, so, how am I gonna get my daughter to join this? All right, any questions with the mayor? All right, if not, we'll go on to item 6, our reports and correspondence. Monthly investment report.
Monthly investment report and cash accounts report was in your packets. I think President Ferguson did a good job outlining where we are today with the 6-month, 1-year and 2-year T-note. And that Michael Moses with Key Bank is just cleaning up some of our accounts. And I noticed the statements came in today that Diane had a quick look at with myself, and we did make money last month, so we're moving forward, but now I probably jinxed it, so we'll see what it is next month.
If so, we'll just take it out of your salary. Any questions? All right, how about the monthly year-to-date reports?
Monthly year-to-date report is included in your packets. As you can see, revenues up from February and expenses down, so we like when we see that. The only thing I can comment on is we should be receiving reports and money from Muhammad for the real estate taxes. So that should come in any money received January, February, March, and then again at the end of April, which is the bulk amount of money for the real estate taxes for the borough. So we should see some of that revenue in the next month in the report.
Thanks, listen.
I had a question only because sometimes our earning of tax doesn't come in as expected because somebody mixes us up with the township and we don't get it. That's happened in past years, not lately. I was surprised we have so much money in earning tax. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
That is way up. Now, more people are working, maybe they'll get more money, but it is way, and I was a little worried. I was a little worried, so I just like, I raised the issue so somebody can look into it.
Yeah, I highlighted that for the EIT and the LST reports, and we're year to date 127. Last year we were 115. The bulk of it came in $14,000, $10,000, and $7,000. Diane and I get the reports, so we can see the specifics. I'll have her look into it. I know previously some of our stuff was mixed up with Hatfield Borough. That happens a lot.
Okay.
So, a good note, I'll have Diane check the specifics of that, just to make sure, because, yeah, it was really big. This past-
I don't want to be a downer, but I don't want us to have to give the money back.
Yeah, yeah. I'll know for Diane. LST, seems to be the same, up 18 from 12 last year, so that's looking good as well.
All right, any other questions or comments? Other than from Debbie Downer over there? Sorry. All right, how about the monthly zoning and hearing board application?
The monthly zoning and hearing board applications, there's an application for 103 North Main Street. A request for a variance from section 27-1202. To permit, to permit the conversion of a single family dwelling into a duplex, which is not permitted use in an R1 district. I will note in addition to the packets was that, the applicant has asked for a continuance for that hearing. So what that means is they are going to meet, the zoning hearing board will meet that night and they will continue the hearing to another date and time. Right now, there's a couple of dates that are floating around between Hatfield Borough and the zoning hearing board to see when things are available. As soon as we know, I will get that date out to you if you're interested in attending. The idea is if they announce the continuance at the meeting, they don't have to re-advertise in the newspaper, which is a little bit of cost savings.
When that happens, when you have a zoning board hearing about this particular residence, are the neighbors also sent letters saying that this is going to happen so they can? attend?
Yes, they are, and it's anyone in 500 feet will get a letter.
Okay,
Yes.
so people possibly on Orchard would be informed. I was thinking of somebody in particular, so, okay.
Okay, and the idea behind announcing at the meeting is you don't have to have another act. If you meet, open the hearing, so you meet the municipality's planning code requirements, and then say that the next hearing will be, I don't know, June 1st or wherever it's gonna be, then you don't have to advertise it. Presumably, anybody who's interested is in the room. But they're not on it, so it would be good if the borough, once we get a date, put something out, just in case.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, how about police department report?
The only thing that we have to add to that is, as of May 1st, we will have 4 new hires. One will be going into the police academy, and in June, the young lady that's in police academy right now will be coming out. So you'll be seeing 5 new faces the next few months.
Any questions for the lieutenant? All right, if not, we'll go to the fire department report.
The fire department. Thank you. The fire department report was included in your packets this evening. I will note year to date, calls, response per municipality at the bottom, 14 for the borough, 54 for the township, and 4 for Colmar. The ones, it's a little bit up since last year in 2022, it was 11, then 37 and 10 if you're looking. And I want to ask if Butch in the audience has anything to say or add about what's been going on the last month with the fire company.
In March, our calls shot up. We were like mid-20s first couple months. No. In March, we had 45 calls. And we are planning to be at the celebration on the 17th.
How's the training facility coming?
Slowly but surely.
Yeah. When's the date that's going to be?
Honestly, I don't know. It's not really been announced when we think we're gonna be ready. I can find that out for you next month.
Okay, just curious. Yeah, are you guys gonna have a celebration, open it up or anything like that?
I don't know, but we did talk in the public safety meeting last time about you guys were interested in taking a look. Bring us that. Take a tour and so on.
Yeah.
See what we've done there.
Any questions? We can get our mics working properly.
I didn't know that.
All right, if not, how about EMS?
The EMS report was included in your packets. I thought they did a really nice job with the 2022 annual report. It was very detailed. and going through who they are, their information, how they're going, education, the support, what they do for our community. So I thought it was a really good, report that they put out for us. They gave some statistics on their calls and like for service and their transport volume. So I thought that was really good. I will highlight their, they did highlight their financials, but I'll highlight their specific report for the past month. So, they had 9 Zoom calls. They had a total call of 1,030. So that's like a little bit less than 1% for us. I will note that there were 5 of them were paramedic calls, 3 of them were advanced EMT calls, and 1 of them was just a basic EMT. Also, I know that the MSC is really investing into their current employees, and they've actually started a program with Jefferson Hospital where their current employees can go to Jefferson to get their paramedic, to become a paramedic. And so I just thought that was really interesting to show their commitment to their employees, to advance their education and retain them for the future. So I just thought that was really nice, so something that they're doing. And I know before it was asked, like, how do our calls compare to other calls of our municipality of like the same size? Is it average? So I know by just talking to the North Penn managers and looking at the sheets that the chief had given us in the past, it really depends on your demographic and what your municipality is, the makeup and the population. So someone that's similar to us, like North Wales, depending on their population or depending on the makeup of their population, they could have more calls than we would. If there's an elderly population or if there's a lot of retirement communities, that could up your calls. It just basically depends on the makeup of your population. So for us, we seem to fit right along track of what they've seen in the past.
Let me ask you for that.
Okay.
Trying to understand the demographics of our population too. I mean, we were aging as a population. I think we're getting younger. So, although I haven't seen any statistics. All right, any questions about the MS report? All right, Public Works.
So it's funny going back, looking at March, because right now I'm thinking all April, feels like so long ago. I'm reading stuff about returning salt and taking salt spreaders off. I mean, the big thing on here was the outages, obviously the borough-wide outage, caused by a squirrel. Just, it was like a 1 in 500 chance of where he got and the damage he did. There was multiple electrical issues, I'll say, in the month of March. Most of them were extremely minor. One tree came down on West Vine Street, took down somebody's service. You know, that in my mind, that's a minor outage. One area we had to actually shut down with one of the new sectionalizing fuses, shut down a single spur going back down what I call Little Market or the dead end North Market. There was a tree that had broken off and was leaning against the primary. So to safely remove that tree, we took an outage for, I think it was 16 or 17 minutes. Consider that a win. But April's report's going to have a lot more projects that we're working on now.
Did I see Carndale replacing the pole out of just off of Main Street?
East Line Street.
East Line?
Yes.
East Line? Okay.
Yep, they did too. All of our stuff is transferred. I'm working with Crown Castle, Comcast, and Verizon to get all their stuff transferred.
Okay.
And then Verizon replaced 2 poles around the firehouse, and Cargill was in to do the transfers of our stuff there. So currently our stuff is transferred, Comcast is all transferred. I've notified Verizon that it's their turn to come in, and I'm just waiting for them to come in. But from at this point, it's their poles. The rest of the work's up to them.
And the ones in East Line, were those the ones we planned on?
Yes.
Are there any more planned for the individual? Or
No.
I think that, how many, were there 3 we were going to replace?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got them all done.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Steve? Public Works? All right, now we'll go to our engineering report.
Gotcha. report was located in your packets. I just want to highlight the 2023 ADA ramp replacement project. That's going to take place on West School, Jade Drive, Jean Drive, and select sidewalks on East School, Forest, and Orchard. 6 bids were opened on March 29th, and the apparent low bidder was Albert G. Sacconi and Sons, and more discussion is on that new business, and there's an action item for consideration. And just to highlight, if you look at subdivision and land development, there has been really no change on Diddens, no change on Bennett's, no change on 28 North Market. The only change was really for Edinburgh Square, and that was an escrow request, and that is on for discussion and consideration this evening.
Do the developers know we'll be in the summer months soon, where we don't need as much?
Yes, and I know that Kate is currently working on a developers agreement with Bennett's Court, and I believe they did test digging. Because I think Steve did you get a call for that?
We received a PA1 call to dig, test pits. And they did not do the work, so they just recalled in another one. I got it on my desk this morning when I came in. So after so many days, the Pennsylvania one call expires, so you have to recall it again. So they called it in the first time, they didn't do anything, so they just recalled it again, so we'll see if they do it. Sometimes I'll get 6 PA1 calls from PICO before they actually put shovels in the ground.
And my experience is that they do have like a draft developers agreement, a draft finance agreement, a draft stormwater agreement, and a couple other things out there. And they didn't get back to me, so they're probably looking for financing. That would be logical. And when they get that, then they'll want to move right away.
Any questions? All right, let's go to our zoning officer, building code, and property maintenance report.
Bob's report was included in your packets. I want to highlight that 99% of the 2022 fire safety inspections are completed, and however, re-inspections for 2022 are currently being worked on. For notice of violations, there are 4 new ones: 8 North Market Street for the collection bins, that's Santucci's; 304 Union Street for collection bins, that's the Hatfield Mart; 302 West Broad for exterior property rubbish, and 36 through 42 East Lincoln for exterior property rubbish. Now that we're getting into the spring months, he'll be checking for high grass vegetations and issuing letters to address that as well.
Any questions? All right, Fire Marshal, Fire Safety Inspection Report.
So I kind of highlighted it, just that we are working through the fire safety inspections. I know the ones for 2023, the payments were sent out and we've been receiving them back. So we will continue to receive the funding for that. And then as soon as 2022 is over, they'll get working on 2023.
Good to hear.
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
All right, so no questions, we'll go on the pool advisory.
There was no pool advisory in your packet this evening. I will reach out to our representatives, make sure that they're attending the meetings and get a report.
Any other questions on the reports and correspondence? If not, we'll go on to the manager's report.
The manager's report was included in your packets. I want to highlight just a few things. So under the 2021 outstanding projects updates for the CMAQ grant, the synchronization of signals, McMahon made adjustments to the intersection of East and West Vine and South Main Street. I'm not sure if you noticed that adjustment. Steve and I have kind of been on the lookout, and we do notice that Main Street is going longer on Green, and East and West Broad, East and West Vine, I'm sorry, you sit a little bit longer on Red, so they did make those adjustments. He would just like feedback. Do you see an increase? Do you notice traffic flowing better? Just any feedback we can provide will help kind of narrow down and make the settings a little bit easier. I've noticed a difference, and I think it's working. Not sure it's 100% there yet.
I would agree. I mean, I've seen the lines be shorter, but still seems like they're long.
Yeah.
So, but definitely they've gotten short. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I noticed there's just kind of, if you bring that up, there's more of a break, especially if we eat lunch, you know, and come in, there's more of a break, and I would always turn to go down to get the wine shoes, no one wants to make a left out of here. Yeah, it takes a while.
I can see you really have difficulties with trucks.
I mean,
I'm sure you do.
good job. Yeah.
You're bigger than everyone else, and you're gonna win that battle.
For items of interest, PSAP conference registration, Larry and I are going. If anyone's interested, let me know. For PSAP conference, PMEA is holding an event that's being hosted by, the manager, Jeffrey Stonehill of Chambersburg, and myself. If you're at, PSAB on Sunday, June 4th, from 3 to 5, if you want to come to the Cocoa Boardroom at the Hershey Lodge and talk electric, we'll be there with drinks and, light appetizers for you, just to talk about electric. And then the 250th America anniversary invitation, there was no real invitation. There was an email that came from the county. And as you know, we're working on celebrating our 250th anniversary of America. And Commissioner Lawrence is going to have a kickoff meeting on April 24th at 10 a.m. If you're interested in attending in person or virtual, let me know and I can shoot that email out to you. I did send that email already to Larry and Jason, who serve on the 250 committee as representatives of the borough. So if anyone else is interested in it, just let me know and I'll forward it to you and then you can register. I'm not sure if Larry's decided if he's going in person or virtual. I will be attending virtual. Virtual, okay. Were there any other questions on my report?
All right, if not, we'll go to item 8, new business. Item A, 2023 ADA curb ramp bid results.
The 2023 curb ramp and bid results are in your packet. As I previously stated, 6 bids were received and Albert G. Saponi and Junior and Sons was the apparent low bidder, and it came in at $150,220. And our engineer is recommending that we award that contract at the meeting this evening. I'll highlight a few things, and if Steve wants to add anything, just so you know, when you look on the following page for the breakdown for the 2023 ADA and curb ramp replacement project, if you take a look at the columns at the bottom, the number I want you to look at is total ramps, maintenance, and traffic balance of work. That is the $61,400, which is under budget. We had budgeted $68,000 for ramp work for 2023. The total select concrete work is that big number. That's the $88,820. That's the select sidewalk work that we are required by the sidewalk rejections that we require residents to replace. If the resident has not already replaced that sidewalk, it will be completed by the contractor, and the resident will have 60 days to repay the borough, or their property will be leased. This is the process that we've gone through in the past. Steve can attest to how many people have done their work so far in the borough, so I think we can have with some numbers if you want to share them, like percentages, because that number was big.
It was actually pretty substantial on already how many people has completed the work, or I know that there's a contract that is going to be taking place within the next couple of weeks. And at this point, we've already had 55% of the select stuff done or under contract to be done within the next few weeks. So that number got cut down substantially.
And, oh, go ahead.
I say any resistance, any issues with residents.
Always.
I mean that
If the municipality told you you had to spend money, anybody, I mean, rightfully so. I mean, I understand.
No, I just mean anything worth mentioning.
No.
So, I expect it to be pushed back.
I mean, it's obviously difficult when the work is happening in the neighborhood in which I live in. So Jamie will experience this next year. But no, I don't think there was anything out of the ordinary, anything unheard of. A lot of just standard things, but the code department's been handling it very nicely.
The truth is Hatfield Borough is kinder than many municipalities who just tell the people, fix your sidewalk. You know, I'm not gonna mention the place I lived when I first got married, but it was like, I moved in and 2 weeks later, I got a certified letter telling me to fix my sidewalk. Okay, so I think Hatfield Borough actually, in giving people a decent way to get it done at a good price, probably doing a very nice thing.
And I was gonna add that Katie will send out a letter to let the residents know this is the pricing. So if you look at the select sidewalk pricing, what it is, like, so a letter is gonna be sent out, Steve and her are gonna work together, and that gives the pricing. So if somebody chooses to use the borough, they will have the pricing. If that pricing compares to what their contractors, they'll still have time to decide between the borough and a contractor. I know there are some residents that called and asked for the pricing, so if this contract's approved, we will get that letter out, and then it still gives them a little bit of time, because I think it should be completed by June 1st as the original letter, that they can still choose, they want to go private, or would they like the borough contractor to handle that?
Any questions? Let's go to item B, resolution 2023-04, recognizing safe digging.
Resolution 2023-04 was included in your packets. This is an annual resolution that a Borough Council has done in the past to recognize the Pennsylvania Safe Digging Month, which is sponsored by Pennsylvania Utility Notification Information Center, over 50 years of continuous service in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and it's their mission to prevent damage to underground facilities, to promote safety, provide efficient and effective communication network among project owners, designers, excavators, and facility owners. I know it's something Steve had just said that he does the PA1 calls frequently, and it's nice to be able to pass the resolution and pass it on to them to know that we support them and support this initiative.
Any questions? If not, we'll go to item C, Salson Hughes, PC Special Utility Council.
So this is the contract agreement to engage with Salzman Hughes to provide electric service for the new Hatfield Police Station. Hatfield Township has sent a letter to Hatfield Borough requesting electric service to be provided to the new Hatfield Township Police Station. As you know, Hatfield Borough is not PUC regulated, and Hatfield Township is, the police station is going to be located out of Hatfield Borough boundaries at this time. So a request letter came from Hatfield Township for service, and we are looking to engage Salzman Hughes to negotiate that with us, to do some research, to see if that's even something that Hatfield Borough can provide. Because at this time, we don't know. So Salzman Hughes is the PMEA solicitor, and their wheelhouse is electricity. So it was recommended to us that they would be our special counsel for any utility issues, along with working with our current solicitor. And that's on for consideration this evening, to appoint them. So we can kind of get the process rolling and see, hey, if that's even a possibility. Can we do that is the first question. We don't have that answer.
Any questions? All right, item D, Edinburgh Square escrow release number 4.
The escrow release request was included in your packets this evening. It's escrow release number 4, and that is for the demolition escrow in the amount of $1,787.50. That will be the final escrow release for the demolition, though he still will have $24,299.50 in escrow to address the development funds, the development issues that were listed in Chad's letter. So there's still some outstanding issues. We cannot release all of the escrow until the developer addresses these issues. All these issues have been communicated to the developer and also discussed with the solicitor.
Any questions? All right, item E, 2023 PSAB voting delegate and alternates.
The PSAB voting delegate and alternate, each member, borough, in good standing with the association, needs to appoint a voting delegate and an alternate that can vote on association officers as well as resolution and policies. Currently, Larry and I are the only ones that are registered for the conference. So I asked Larry if he was interested in being the voting delegate, and he said that he was. And since I'm the only other one attending, I put myself as the alternate. So that's on for consideration this evening as an action item to appoint Larry as the PSAB voting delegate and myself as the alternate.
Any questions? All right, item F, 2023 roadway resurfacing project advertising.
The 2023 roadway resurfacing project advertisement, what we're looking for is we just want to keep on schedule to advertise the bid specifications. And that will be resurfacing for East School, Forest and Orchard. And the target date for that work to start is the end of July. We're looking to hold a pre-bid meeting on May 10th and a bid opening on May 24th. So just to keep the project moving, we're asking this evening to allow us to advertise the bid specs on Penn Bid for this project.
All right, any questions? All right, last item G, ordinance number 555, chickens, amending chapter 2 and chapter 27. I believe this is for advertising.
Right, this is the chicken ordinance, which the committee's been working very hard on. I produced a draft after their last meeting, and they had another meeting to go over the draft and made further changes. One of the changes that we made, quite frankly, affects the zoning ordinance. So this is gonna require 2 weeks of advertising. So when we get to it, my suggestion would be that we put it on the regular meeting in May. So that, and that's how we would normally do it. I know the committee's hearing from people who are anxious to get chickens. And I understand that. Just in case you haven't had a chance to look at it, well, we have a prohibition on any farm animals right now. So we're accepting out chickens and putting requirements for having chickens that the committee has reviewed and recommended, looking at other people's ordinances. We're limiting the number. We're saying no roosters. We're saying, you have to have so much land to have so many chickens, and you have to keep them in a clean and safe place, things like that. We're also requiring in this draft ordinance that you get some sort of education. Either a certificate that says you took one of those chicken raising courses and that you're a master, chicken person. That's not the right term, but there are courses you could take to learn how to raise chickens.
Where do you go for that? I'm just curious. Where do you?
Online.
It was online, and is it Penn State, isn't it?
Yeah.
Penn State Extension, you're exactly right, that's right. So, yeah, you could do that. And so it's very comprehensive. The committee worked very hard on it. And, what we did was we want them only kept in residential neighborhoods. I'm looking at Larry, right? Yeah. So what we did was we added them as a residential accessory use. Okay, in certain districts, and those districts would be R1, R2, and R3. Okay, so that's basically what it is. It's on the agenda later tonight to be advertised for the May regular meeting.
Now, the square footage, 10,000 square feet, that's roughly a quarter of an acre. How many borough properties would fit that criteria? Like, are there many borough properties that are that size?
That is 10% of the borough.
10%.
Yeah.
You can have 6 for 10,000 square feet. That's interesting. Somebody comes in with 8,000 square feet.
Can you get 4?
They can't get it, but they might argue that they could have 3.
So the minimum lot size would be 10,000?
I believe the committee discussed that minimum lot size needs to be 10,000 square feet. And for each additional 5,000 square feet, you could have up to 3 more chickens, but that also means that your hen house and your chicken run would have to increase as well.
Was there any reason 10,000 was chosen?
The committee, please correct me if I'm wrong, but 10,000 was chosen based off of other borough municipalities with similar size boroughs. I think we're 7/10 of a square mile. It was based on other municipalities who had ordinances for chickens. And we actually looked at the possibility of, lowering it or making it higher. So that's why we did, if you have 15,000 or 20,000, you could have more. But most municipalities with the density that we have in our borough were 10,000.
So we don't, I wanna make this language just a little bit clearer, that we don't want any chickens on less than 10,000. Is that it? Okay, it does say you can have up to 6 on 10,000, but I'll have to change that language. Now, somebody has an 8,500 square foot lot and wants to have a couple of chickens, they could go to the zone board and get permission. Maybe the zoning board gave it to them.
Do we think only 10% of the borough will qualify?
Yeah.
10% of properties are over 10,000 square feet?
Yes, that is correct. We counted today. I mean, Katie do it. I said that was gonna be a question. That was gonna be tonight. I figured that would be a question. And, it's roughly 10% of the borough population would qualify. I also wrote down that, just so you know where they could and could not be located. R1, that's roughly the area of West School, that development, Edgewood and Vine. Your R2 is Tom Ensign Avenue, Lambert, Girard, and Diamond in those neighborhoods. And R3 is a little bit of West Broad, up, and then also Maple Avenue.
I have a question. Does that 10,000 square foot minimum, does that include an existing house or building on the property?
Yes, the 10,000 square foot lot would probably include an existing house.
Okay.
And, possibly other things, I think the real problem in the borough, we saw this with the beekeeping ordinance, is that most lots are small and chickens could be considered noisy and intrusive to your neighbors. So we want to make sure you have enough room to keep them properly, I think is the thinking. All right, we're going to committee, yeah. Now, if you live on an 8,000 square foot lot, and you want to go to the zoning board, you might be able to get a variance.
Did we, and I apologize, I don't remember, did we specify coops and those things off of the other properties, kind of like the way we did the dealers? Okay.
Yes, now, I mean, we could change this tonight, if council thinks that it's too restrictive at a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. Does anybody worry about that? Okay.
I think using it as a reference, that you guys did the research and you're referencing other journals and similar side, I think it's a great reference. And again, if we see a lot of people requesting that you match size of smaller yards, we can always readjust the money, but yeah, I think it's a good place to start. So.
Thank you.
I know you guys put a lot of work and effort into it. So. All right, any other questions? Final question is, I wonder if we'll get a large turnout the way we did with Beatles. We had 30 some people would fill in the ring at the firehouse. So.
We just, it's in there, and if you have questions or concerns before I advertise it, you can let me know, but here's the thing, you can make changes at the advertised meeting, as long as they're not big changes. You're supposed to let people know what the ordinance is about. Sometimes we print the whole thing, this is a pretty long ordinance, my suggestion would be that I do a summary ad, because it'll be cheaper for the borough to run a summary ad. But if you think that we need changes, we'll put it on the workshop agenda for discussion. And then the regular meeting will be voting. And if the workshop turns up something that's not a big change and everybody thinks we ought to make it, we can make that. And then you can pass it somewhat differently than advertised. If it's a big change, then we'll have to advertise it again.
Can we also put it on our website as well? the full text on our website, so when you're writing in the advertisement, we just, put a link. or-
We can,
Yeah.
we
So
can.
that way someone interested that want to read the whole document.
Right. We can certainly do that. I'm sensing some hesitation over the 10,000 square feet.
I just said, sorry, sure. I'm just having the assistant manager right now run 8,000, and we'll let you know the number. Just if there's some hesitation over the 10, and you're looking more at 8, and we'll let you know the percentage as soon as you can up.
I was just
In
curious.
case people are interested.
The net property open space on, like if you got a 15,000 square foot lot, you got a house that takes up 5,000 of that, is the net amount or the total?
No, it's the total lot.
Yeah.
Because, we're thinking of this as a residential accessory. Some people want to keep chickens for honey or whatever, eggs, maybe, I guess, the same way they wanted to keep the bees, So, I mean, that's the concept. And here's the other question I have. And I know we've been approached by some people, we did the poll, and people seem to favor letting people who want to have chickens. Who are they? Where do they live? I guess is the question. Suppose somebody who passionately wants us to pass this ordinance lives on an 8,000 square foot lot. Maybe we should drop the minimum lot size to 8 and have fewer than 6 chickens. I mean, that's another possibility. So I think if you know somebody who's really advocating in favor of this ordinance, talk to them, find out where they live and how big their lot is.
Two people offhand, I know one definitely is larger than 10, and another one is in our neighborhood. So, we'll have to look to see what their property size is, because it is one of the smaller homes in our neighborhood.
And I think if I remember correctly, when we did the B ordinance, we had the same discussion about the lot size versus the house size of the lot, and it's easier just to manage it, focusing on the lot size and not trying to distinguish, figure out the difference between the two. If I remember correctly.
Right, but we also require in here, structures to keep the chickens in. So you're gonna have to fit them all in, and you come in for your permit, you're gonna have a little plot plan of your lot showing where everything is and that it's so many feet from your neighbor and all that, so you need a fairly sized lot to do this. I think.
And one other question, this is sort of weird, but this is an operational question, okay? You're gonna allow chickens, and you're saying hens, no roosters. How are the roosters gonna lay eggs?
They can lay eggs without a rooster.
Yeah.
But you can't get any chicks out of it without a rooster.
Right, so that might be that you can take that chicken raising. Well, they know what to do.
I thought we're gonna ask them to raise chickens.
Assistant manager just ran the numbers, and at 8,000, it's 13% of the borough, and it's only 88 more residents that will qualify, 88 more parcels. So if you want to think about that, something to consider, 8,000 is 13%, you're including 88 more parcels.
But talk about it now. If the majority wants to go to 8,000, then how many chickens should we allow? 8,000.
Yeah, honestly, I think we just stick with 10. You guys did the work, let's stick with 10, and if we see it's a problem,
Yeah.
or if we want to make exceptions, yeah.
Right. Well, that's the way I'll leave it, a minimum of 10,000 square feet to do this. And then, like I said, if you're talking to people who are advocates and they're aghast because they only have 8,000 square feet, then let me know, and then we might have to change it. I don't think that's a change that would be enough to change the ordinance, even if I advertise it at 10. But we'll put it out there and see what happens. Okay?
And is there, is there wording in there for noise or hazards? Okay, so we address that as well. Okay, good.
And they all have to be secure at night, because of the bombs and so that you don't come out to the disaster.
Yeah. No, and I see a fox in my neighborhood almost every day, so.
Yeah.
And there's ones also for keeping your feet and keeping pens clean, so it doesn't attract any unwanted pests. So
And are they allowed to range to roam free, or they still have to be caged?
supervised in the yard, they can have them out during the day if they're supervised
Okay,
in a fenced in yard.
okay,
It's all in there.
Okay.
But everything has to be secure at night. They can't be roaming a yard at night or anything like that.
okay.
Yeah, that would be ugly.
There's a box that runs through and screeching at night every night.
I see foxes in my neighborhood almost every day, so, yeah. And if I can ask Madam Mayor to please counsel her husband on the birds and bees. So, sorry, I couldn't resist. Vice President Gerard, actually, I didn't know that about chickens either, that they always lay eggs all the time. I did not know that, so that was interesting, revelation. That's You're the accountant. Any other questions? So we'll plan on, having a discussion, at the workshop meeting and then vote on it and at the regular meeting and have the more open discussion with residents. Yeah. So encouraging residents that's interested, please come out and, let's talk.
You can also put that on social media, because I know there was a bunch of people that filled out the survey, that had to go back to do another survey. So we can certainly say that after it's advertised, share the advertisement, say, please come out if you have questions, comments, or against, just to try to, make sure we're informing everybody.
And to your point, we'll put a link to a draft on the borough's website so people can actually read it or, see it and then see if they have questions after they read.
And I know you'll summarize your advertising, but yeah, if we can focus on, resilient, how they're supposed to be caged, so people don't have questions about free range, noise, we can make sure we highlight that, that would be great. So, yeah, because I know those will be the big questions I get asked. So,
That's also where the master chicken keeper comes in too, because it has stuff that you need to learn about how to maintain chickens.
One suggestion with that is that in the ordinance, is that mandatory to take that course? Okay, so are we going to have that before they can set up a penthouse to come to the borough to present the credentials? They took that course.
Yes,
What it says is, I'm sorry, it says provide a copy of a master chicken keeper certificate or other educational credential evidencing that the applicant has successfully completed a training course in raising or caring for chickens or other proof that the applicant is competent to care for chickens. I added that language, the committee had the other language, because I was thinking there might be somebody who grew up on a farm who doesn't need the master chicken course, but just knows how to deal with chickens. It seems to me that if they show that proof, look, I grew up on a farm, we had, 100 chickens, it was my job to feed them every morning before I went to school in Lancaster,
so
I think that person would be okay, right? The code officer's gonna have to decide whether that's good enough, but I think it would be good enough.
when, also, Rich, when they come in for their, permits, they have to show that.
Right.
So that's another way that there's proof that it was done.
And the cost for the permits.
$21.
Okay, so-
It's the same, yeah, we kept it all the same.
Question? All right, now we'll go to item 9, old business. If there's anything that's been added. Sounds like there's not, okay. All right, if there's no other questions, we'll hit our action items. We'll start with item A, motion to consider awarding the 2023 ADA curb ramp project to Albert G. Cipollini, Junior and Sons, in the amount of $150,220. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Stevens, a second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? If not, all in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. Item B, motion to consider resolution 2023-04, recognizing safe digging month.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Stevens, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions? If not, all in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. Item C, a motion to consider appointing Salzman Hughes PC as the special legal counsel for the Hatfield Borough Electric Utility.
Second.
I get a motion from Councilman Cresser, a second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. Item D, motion to consider approving the escrow release number 4, final demolition escrow for Edinburgh Square Development in the amount of $1,787.50.
So moved. Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Fagan, a second from Councilman Stevens. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. Item E, motion to consider naming Lawrence G. Stevens as the 2023 PSAB voting delegate and naming Jamie E. Snyder as the alternate.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilwoman Cresser, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. Item F, motion to consider advertising the 2023 roadway resurfacing project bid specification.
I'll move it. Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Gerard, a second from Councilman Stevens. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. Item G, motion to consider advertising ordinance number 550, amending chapter 2 animals, and chapter 27 zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the Borough of Hatfield, providing conditions for keeping of chickens for a public hearing to be held on May 17th at 7 p.m. I got a motion from Councilwoman Cresser, a second from Councilman Stevens. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. Item 11, motion to approve payment of the bills.
So moved.
I got a motion from Councilman Stevens, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions on the bills? All right, all in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. Are we having an executive session to discuss personal property litigation and real estate?
Yes, we are.
Can I get a motion to adjourn our council meeting? Second. I get a motion from Councilwoman Cresser, a second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes.